the story wasn't really about league tables, it wasn't really about numbers at all, it was about the atmosphere as Napoli scored that convincing victory over Roma. Let's get across now to Naples and catch up with Adriano Del Monte, Italian football correspondent, who was fortunate enough to be there. And over your shoulder, of course, the legend himself, who so sadly passed away last week, Diego Maradona. 7 glorious years in Naples, Adriano, and, well, it meant a lot to the city. What an occasion it must have been.
What an occasion it has been, John. Thank you for having me here. To be here in the city of Naples at this point in time has truly been a humbling experience from a personal perspective. You read, you watch clips, but to actually see it and live and breathe and talk to the fans about just how important Diego Maradona has been truly special. Of course, he arrived at Napoli here in Naples back in 1984. The club in its 60-year history prior had only 2 Italian cups on the pitch to their name. And he came and he obviously delivered on the pitch. He provided plenty off the pitch in terms of respect for the city, respect for the club that just was non-existent prior. And in a time when Italian football was at its highest of highs, for him to come here, take them to the pinnacle of Serie A on 2 occasions, a UEFA Cup, and so many memories that will live long in the minds forever, he truly was one of a kind.
Very nicely put, yeah, because there was such a north-south divide and he provided so much pride, didn't he, for that city, but of course also individually arguably the best player ever to play in Serie A. Let's just remind ourselves a little bit more about what this was all about here, because of course there was a tribute and an on-the-pitch tribute as well, as they took on a Roma side that's no pushovers this season, but Diego lit up Napoli at the stadium, which will be renamed in his name. And look at that, Insigne appropriately scoring beautifully. Lovely effort that Maradona himself would have been proud of. Politano rounding things up with a beautiful dribble and finish at the end there, in between Ruiz and Mertens scoring the goals. Adriano, tell me about the game itself. There's always a danger at times like this that the occasion becomes far more than the football match, but this was one performance by Napoli that really lived up to it.
Absolutely, it was an inspired performance by Napoli, and well, how good to see Lorenzo Insigne, the only Neapolitan in the squad, the captain, score that tremendous opener. Politano with a glorious finish late on as well, which Diego certainly would have been proud of. But also Dries Mertens getting on the score sheet. The perfect night, because Mertens recently surpassed Maradona's mark as the top all-time goal scorer of the club. So yes, at times the occasion can get the better of a team, but on this night, Napoli were inspired against the Roma side who, let's not forget, they were unbeaten on the pitch in their last 16 Serie A fixtures. They do have another defeat to their name this season. That was against Verona, but that was down to an administrative error. So a Roma team playing great football. Napoli 4-0 winners, and I can tell you already today in the papers, the Scudetto dream is alive here in Naples.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because we've seen a little bit of erratic form at times from some of the teams vying for the very, very top of Serie A. But one side that's not letting anyone down in terms of their fans is Milan. If we take a little look at what's happened for Milan, even without the injured Zlatan, who has been so important for them, give me 5-point advantage. Kessie with the best and worst. He managed to miss a penalty, but he scored, and the captain got them up and running. So Milan just going about their business yet again, even without their coach, Adriano.
That's right, without their coach, who joined via FaceTime, I believe, at the end of the match to congratulate his players. No Zlatan again, no Benacer, no Rafael Leao. This is a team that can get even better, and, well, at a time where a number of the teams across the competition are providing quite inconsistent results, as you touched on, Milan do seem the most settled. And I can tell you, in the city of Milan, where I do live and am based, there is a lot of optimism about what they can achieve this season. Their record without Zlatan is very strong. They actually haven't been defeated in the league without him. So onwards and upwards for Milan from here for sure.
And that's fascinating, because the parallel, of course, is what do Juventus do without their iconic striker, Cristiano Ronaldo? And the answer to that is they don't do very well. No Ronaldo, no party. Nicely put in this headline here. We can actually illustrate that with their form with and without their iconic striker. And there it is. With him, played 5, won 3, drawn 2. No defeats in that time there. Only the 1 win, 3 draws along the way there. Awarded a victory over Napoli, of course, due to that COVID problem in terms of the squad not being allowed to travel for the game. But obviously there is a difference, and that is something that those in the seats of power, Adriano, at Juventus in Turin are concerned about, the way they just don't seem to be able to perform. Dybala, he's just not quite himself right now. Morata scores, but it was a lively outing for Morata too, wasn't it?
Well, Morata has been the one shining light, aside from Ronaldo, consistently this season. 8 goals across the Champions League and Serie A. But if we take him out of the picture, Paulo Dybala, nowhere near his best at this point in time. Of course, an inexperienced manager in Andrea Pirlo, who has come in, a lot of pressure on he as well. And the consistency with the results has simply not been there. Now, off the pitch, there are a number of question marks about the hierarchy of Juventus, the decisions they've made in terms of football. They have been focusing primarily on their business off the pitch, their branding and their growth in recent years. And I think now we are starting to see that prove costly on the park, because no Ronaldo, no party is the best way to sum it up at this point in time. This looks a very different Juventus team that will struggle to challenge even for the Scudetto in the back end of the season.
Adriano, can I just quickly, before we leave Juventus, come back to the guy that featured in the last image there, Andrea Pirlo, as you say. I mean, it's the nature of football these days that you don't get given much time, but there's a lot of negativity around right now. What's he need to happen?
Well, he needs results, and he needs results quickly. The reports are here that Bonucci and Chiellini are very close to returning. Bonucci could return for the Champions League midweek. Ronaldo will return as well. But I think in the end, Pirlo will have the season to figure out, well, is he the man for the job? Of course, he didn't have the traditional off-season, the friendly matches, to really put the time in to learn and discover what his strongest side is. He is learning on the job. He was initially appointed as the under-23 boss. So I think the board here need to see some improvement, but they will give him some time. He was brought in on the cheap for that exact purpose after the dismissal of Sarri, but certainly backs against the wall for he and Juventus this season.
Right, lastly, let's talk about Inter, and the headlines here really reflected it in beating Sassuolo, who of course have been one of these stories of the season so far. Look at this. Finally, the real Inter. And that's understandable because, of course, their calamitous Champions League form has meant there's been a lot of negativity about them. We know on their day they can score goals. We know they can be outstanding. They needed Sanchez to get them up and running in this game here. But once they did, they really looked lively, didn't they?
They did look lively, and they showed glimpses of their absolute best. Being a little critical, less than 40% possession against Sassuolo. Is that the way that this Inter Milan side wish to continue going forward? Probably not. Their star power, the depth in this squad is too good not to be playing at the level of consistency that we've seen recently. So they still do have room to improve, but to defeat Sassuolo, not only a team that has been playing exceptionally well this campaign, but a team that traditionally they have actually struggled against, it was a timely result for the Nerazzurri, and they must respond and continue that form against Mönchengladbach in a must-win in the Champions League this week.
Yeah, huge game, that one. Adriano, we're just about done for time, but I want to thank you for rounding up Serie A for us. But of course, with Diego Maradona over your right shoulder there, again, one last word. How special has this weekend been for you getting down to Naples?
As I said, truly humbling. It has been emotional. There hasn't been a dry eye around, and seeing the fans of this city and the club praying at the memorials and just seeing the love and emotion, it has given me a strong sense of appreciation for just how unique this relationship between Diego Maradona and Napoli was.
Well, we greatly appreciate you sharing that and those images with this show, with our football fans here on Fox Sports here in Asia. Take care. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Okay, Adriano signs off, but we're not done just yet. We're going to be taking a look at the Asian Champions League as John returns in just a moment.